Shabbat Shalom. It's very nice to hear. Thank you. My family, as you know, just returned to the city a few weeks ago, but my husband Alex and I lived here 10 years ago, so we shouldn't really be so surprised about life in Manhattan. We met here in Manhattan. I lived on the Upper West Side for 5 years. I spent 3 of them here at BJ. So being in New York is not new to me. But we were walking around downtown the other night with my husband and I took a minute to sort of notice how many people are this is before the heat wave really sunk in, so there were more people outside. It was a little more pleasant. And especially living in Ohio for the last decade, I realized how rare it was there to see so many different faces going in so many different directions all at the same time and all sort of visible from one street corner. And I did that thing, I assume many of you have done this too, where you sort of try to look at each face and each person and even like each window in the buildings above and imagine and hold in your mind the idea that each of them is not just sort of like set dressing for my story, not just like the scenery in the Alex Braver story, but that each of them actually has their own life where they think that they are the center of that story, right? They're the main characters in their stories. And when that happens, if you've done this before, I sort of get this, like, I try to do that and to think about each and every person having their own real full life, and I kind of get vertigo from that feeling, and then I sort of retreat back into my own kind of self-centered, comfortable world where I am the protagonist, and I take a deep breath. There is a blessing that comes from the Talmud that you're supposed to say when you see a myriad of people, a large group of people, and the blessing is Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam chacham harazim, which means blessed are you, eternal God, who is like the wise one who knows secrets. And the rabbis say, why this blessing when you see a huge group of people? Because God is the only one who can look at each and every face and each and every human essence and hear each and every voice in that huge group of people that you're seeing, with all its diversity, with all the different sizes and shapes and colors and temperaments and opinions and thoughts. And God can sort of take that in and hold it all at the same time and understand all of it in its fullness. That God is the one who can access the secret meanings and the secret yearnings and the secret and sacred truths of billions, literally billions of people. God does not experience the vertigo that I get when I try to imagine even just, a couple hundred people with the fullness of their lives. But instead, God revels in the sacred mess and the multitude without getting overwhelmed by it. This is how the rabbis understand a line from our parsha this week that we're going to read tomorrow morning, when Moshe asked God to appoint a leader to succeed him after he dies. And Moshe says, Yifkod Adonai Elohei haruchot lechol basar ish al ha'edah. So God, the Elohei haruchot lechol basar, it's a very strange phrase to translate, which is why the rabbis focus on it, but the ruchot lechol basar, like the spirits of all flesh. Right? God of the spirits of all flesh, appoint someone to be in charge of this community. And the rabbis notice that ruchot, the plural, the spirits, right? God is the God of the spirits of all flesh, and says, you, God, you can take every different ruach, every different spirit a person has, all at once. And since you, God, can understand the diversity in our community, the diversity of opinions among the Israelites, we need you to help pick someone who can sort of aspire to that same vision, right? Who can hold the diversity of this people with all their different ruchot, all their different spirits, and all their different clashing inclinations, and all the 2 Jews, 3 opinions, mishagas that comes with working with Jewish communities. And we need a leader who can see the holiness in that and strive to see it just like God does. And so Moshe, who's just survived all sorts of complaints and trials and rebellions in the wilderness in the last few parshas, and who has listened to their kvetching and their grumbling for 40 years, understands what it means to lead a community and that is to be able to hold all of it, everything, everywhere, all at once, and to see each person as the center of a unique story. Part of our spiritual work on Shabbat and part of our spiritual work in Tefillah is to aspire to that same vision. So in prayer and on Shabbat, we sort of reach toward a God's eye view of things, and a view that can see the chaos and the craziness of our world and our life, and even the chaos and craziness inside of our own minds, and sort of just sit with it and give ourselves the sacred pause that can guide us toward finding the holiness in all of that. And not to try to harmonize it or to make it fit into the right way of thinking, but just to sort of let it be and not imagine that my perspective is the center of the universe. And in doing that, perhaps we can really allow ourselves to rest. This teaching that God is the one who can see the divine spark in each and every person in all their diversity is similar to one of my favorite ideas in our tradition, which comes from the Mishnah almost 2,000 years ago, which goes like this. When a person stamps a coin in a mint, each coin comes out the same, right? If you look at every single quarter that's ever been minted by the U.S. Mint, it's got George Washington's punam, right there, and each one looks the same. But when God stamps the first coin of the first human being, it looks like Adam HaRishon, whatever Adam, the first human being, looked like, and then every coin that has been stamped after Adam looks different. Right? When we stamp coins, they're all the same. God makes each one unique. And so if we had a human coin press that made each coin look different, we would say it was broken. Right? The whole point is uniformity. But God sort of looks at the wide range of human difference and looks at the head side of every coin and sees each one looking slightly off or slightly different from the next, and sees the sort of razim, the secrets hidden in this diversity. There's a gravitational pull, I think, to see the beauty and the strength that comes from diversity, and that has been one of the strongest threads that has held this country together for 250 years, right, which we're celebrating the milestone of tomorrow. And we say, e pluribus unum, out of many, one, right? And that's stamped on the opposite of billions of uniform images of George Washington's face on each and every tail side of each and every quarter ever minted. And I'm sure there's some coin collector who will email me and tell me there's actually some special edition that doesn't have it, but from 5 minutes of looking at quarters in my room, they all have e pluribus unum on the back. But alongside this, there has been another tendency in our country, a tendency that has begun even before the country's birth, which is the tendency not only to forget the secret of the coin press that produces different coins every time, but instead to block it out and to resist it, to sort of smash the mint that makes these different coins, and instead to make a machine that tries to make us all the same and that tries to crush us into uniformity and to conformity and to throw out anything that doesn't fit. And that struggle for the soul of our country continues even to this day. So as we celebrate this birthday of our country that we love, we ask ourselves, do we want to be the type of society that looks around and sees all this difference and says a bracha? The type of society that sees beauty in all the diversity and says, maybe my story is not the only story out there. And maybe I can have some room for all the different ruchot, all the different spirits of ways of being and opinions and types and sizes of human beings. Or do we want to be a type of society that looks at difference and says a curse and tries to stamp it out and pretend that each coin should be the same? So my birthday wish for sure for this country is to choose blessing and not to choose curse. I'll just conclude by saying, I think about this teaching also and through the lens of beginning my service in this community, this sacred place that I've known and loved for so many years from near and from far. And though there's so much about this community and about you all here and from afar that I think I kind of know and understand, I want to say this same blessing because there's so much that I don't know. And there's so many beautiful and sacred secrets in the diverse opinions and lives and inclinations and spirits of all the people that make up this place and make it what it is. So I can't claim to have that prophetic ability of Moses or Joshua to be able to see each face and hold the difference of each one, to know and hold all the secret knowledge. But I can't wait to see and meet each and every unique face and start trying to find out. Shabbat Shalom.